In Maps of Meaning, Jordan Peterson argues that moral behavior in contemporary Western societies remains implicitly structured by Christianity, despite a decline in explicit religious belief. His claim is not that individuals secretly assent to Christian doctrine, but that they continue to act in accordance with moral assumptions, historically shaped by the Christian worldview. These include the intrinsic value of the individual, the moral seriousness of suffering, responsibility toward the vulnerable, and the condemnation of cruelty. Peterson maintains that such values are treated as self-evident, even though their historical and metaphysical grounding is rarely acknowledged. According to Peterson, this produces a tension characteristic of post-Christian culture. Moral norms persist at the level of practice, while the narrative framework that originally justified them is rejected at the level of belief. Ethical expectations therefore continue to operate without an explicitly recognized foundation. Peterson suggests that this risks moral incoherence, insofar as values are affirmed in action while their justificatory basis is denied. From my perspective, this argument highlights the strength of the biblical moral framework, rather than merely its historical influence. The persistence of Christian moral norms may be explained not only by cultural inheritance, but by their alignment with moral knowledge accessed through conscience. On this view, moral truths are not sustained solely by belief in doctrine, but are apprehended inwardly as obligations and values that impose themselves upon moral agents. Christianity, therefore, may be understood as articulating and structuring moral knowledge that is already experientially available, rather than arbitrarily imposing it. To summarize, Peterson's analysis suggests that post-Christian morality remains dependent upon Christian ethical assumptions, from a perspective that treats conscience not merely as a product of cultural conditioning, but as a faculty through which moral obligation is apprehended as binding. This dependence need not be interpreted as incoherence. Rather, it can be understood as evidence that the biblical moral framework continues to exert authority because it articulates moral truths that are already accessible within human moral experience. On this view, the persistence of Christian moral norms reflects not their accidental survival, but their correspondence to values that conscience continues to recognize as real and normatively compelling, even in the absence of explicit religious belief.